Welcome, traveler. Come before developers roam this channel and nerf our nodes of power. Let me show you the most OP builds that will etch your name into the ladder for all of eternity. The gods will feel our wrath.
Hey everybody, it's Boardman21, and today's build is going to be the Rive Forge Guard. A Forge Guard that will not be based on spell damage, it will be based off of using Rive, a melee skill. Our 5 skills that we're going to use is Ring of Shields, Rive, Volatile Reversal, Abyssal Echoes, and Smite. For Ring of Shields, we're running heals and defenses, so we're going to put 2 points in reinforcement, 2 points in healing shields, 4 points in phalanx, 3 points in banding, 1 point in molten shields, 5 points in touched by fire, 3 points in enduring defense. And the reason that we're putting the 5 points in touch to fire for that plus 20 fire damage, even though it is only for 4 seconds after you have cast the Ring of Shields, even though we are consistently casting Ring of Shields every time it comes off cooldown, in the Forge Guard passive tree we also have a chance to cast it when we're hit, so you almost have 100% uptime of this as long as you're being hit. Even though it's a 4% chance when hit of casting it, it actually will cast quite often because you get hit a lot as a melee build. Our second skill is Rive, our main damaging ability. In this we went with basically as much ignite as you could get and as much area. So we put 3 points into outbursts for 120% increased area. We put 4 points into getting the first and second strike attack speed up, 1 point in first and second strike armor shred chance, 1 point in changing our sequence of strikes, so instead of going 1 2 3 1 2 3, it will now go 1 2 1 2 and then a third. This allows you to stack more ignite before consuming them all. And basically what we were going for was the triple threat, which gave our third strike more hit damage and 70% more area, which that 70% on top of the 120% is almost 200% more area. And then for ignite we did 3 stacks in sever for 150% strike of ignite on the first strike, 150% strike on the second of ignite chance, and then execution, which gives you 15% physical damage per ignite stack consumed. So since you're getting 150% on strike 1 and 150% chance on strike 2, only on this skill there's going to be more ignite chance through other things that we have. But right here you're basically going to have on average 3 stacks, and since we're going 1 2 1 2, that means you're going to have 6 stacks, and then you'll use your third skill, which means for 2 seconds you will have 6 times 15, which is 90% increased physical damage. Now there's going to be more stacks of ignite, so you're getting much more. You're getting closer to 200 to 300% physical damage after that for 2 seconds, which is enough time to go 1 2 1 2 3 all over again and just keep it almost as a permanent boost. You have to remember that's per ignite stack consumed. You're putting 6 stacks on each enemy. So even on a single target damage, you're getting a 90% physical boost every time that you use this minimum. If you have a lot of enemies, a lot of trash mobs that you consume them all at once and get, say, 100 stacks because there was 40 enemies and they had 2.5 stacks each, that averaged out, you would get a massive amount of physical damage. And then the last one, every time you hit with the third strike, for 4 seconds you get global health leech. I honestly don't know if that's all hits or all damage. I think it's only hits that will grant it. I don't think any damage over time is considered health leech, even though it's global. But basically it means that the first and second strike and the third strike and any other skill that you do that hits will give you health leech, which is a whopping 15%, which is a pretty big number for a skill. But that is Rive. And then for Volatile Reversal, all that we use this for is the attack speed. So make sure you put the 3 points in warped time, and then as much as you can in cooldown so that you can use it as much as possible. This is a huge boost to attack speed. We put 3 points in time sap so that you get cooldown recovered per kill. And then we put 1 point in time loss vitality, which gives you a 200% cooldown recovery speed, 2 points into traveler's fatigue, which gives you another 50% cooldown recovery. And then for some damage, we did disintegration for some void rift damage. We did a void rift on start, a void rift on arrival, 5 points in void rift area, so it's a huge area, and that everyone that gets hit by this in this huge area will actually take 30% more damage for 4 seconds. So we deal more damage and we get more attack speed. Then we have Abyssal Echoes. Now a lot of people are going to want to go Sigils instead of Abyssal Echoes, but I just found the playstyle a lot more smooth, a lot more fun with Abyssal Echoes. Now you can go Sigils, and if you go Sigils, a lot of people go for the fire damage per active sigil, the damage per active sigil, the ignite chance per sigil, so you can get a lot of extra damage with sigils, which is why most people would rather go with it than Abyssal. But the thing was, it was harder to keep up. You were constantly having to cast it. It wasn't just a cast and forget. And even though mana is just fine because Rive costs 0 and nothing else you use is really, costing anything, and Reversal doesn't cost it actually gives, mana back as long as you had mana a couple of seconds ago. It's great, but for me, I like Abyssal Echoes to pull in enemies, so that Rive, which has this huge area and it's a melee skill, pulling all of the enemies in, to me, just felt smoother. So naturally for this, we went with the no longer chains, we got some mana efficiency in area, and then the main node, Pull of the Void, which pulls enemies. Now we put 5 points into Sonority, which is 200% increased area, 1 point into Abyssal Grasp for pull strength, and this means that it pulls in a huge area. And then we just went for auto recast. So when we cast it once, we have 1 recast plus 4 more. So it's actually cast 6 times for us, only casting it once for a 50 mana cost. But right after you cast it, you can time reversal, get the mana back, and then your mana's full the rest of the time. So what you're looking at here is being able to cast it once, and then with a 1.6 second in between cast, you'll be casting it 6 times, pulling in mobs from, I'd say, about half screen distance in towards you, where you can just keep riving and use that. And then we have Smite, which we use for several things. Number one, it's our movement skill. We teleport with it. It's also a huge boost to attack speed, and it gives us shock chance. Now, most people will not use the lightning side of this, but since we're doing fire damage, shock is actually helpful for you, so we decided to use it. You can just stick with ignite, but we're not doing any throwing attacks other than the passive tree where you throw an axe every, I think it's 5 seconds based on a melee hit, and then you have your idols which cast smite. So you can auto cast it, but it's not as much as if you're doing shield throw or hammer throw. So for this, we're going to be kind of casting it on our own to get the buff, and so instead of just trying to get ignite chance out of it, we just went straight for getting the shock chance. But either way, 1 point in Holy Wave, 5 points in Righteous Fury, because this global melee fire damage includes your melee Rive fire skill. So this is very helpful for Rive for damage. And then you have 50% attack speed, and then 1 point in Descend for the teleportation wherever you decide to cast it. So if you need to get out of trouble, you just cast Smite somewhere else and get the hell out of dodge. We have 4 points in Ignite, but the 100% chance to ignite actually switches over. Fire damage becomes lightning damage, and ignite chance becomes shock chance. Now this is just smite hit damage that's converted to lightning. It does not convert your melee fire damage into lightning damage. So this 25 fire damage sticks with Rive's fire damage. And then we went with 1 point to hit targets around us with lightning, and we have another 20% shock chance. So you have 120% chance to shock with a 20% increased shock effect, which means you'll get 120 reduced fire, cold, and lightning resistance on enemies that you hit with this. And those are our skills. Now for the passives, we got 20 points in Sentinel. We decided to go with 6 in Fearless for the Vitality, 5 in Gladiator for the block, 5 in Counterattack for Retaliation, 4 more in Banish for more damage out of our Retaliation. Since we're always getting hit, this just seemed the most reasonable one to go. 1 point in Retaliation for increased damage when we block, and 3 points in Axe Thrower, so that every time we do a melee hit, we have a 24% chance to throw an axe towards the nearest enemy. You cannot throw more than 1 axe every second, so you can get an axe every second, which is nice. We have 10 points in Void Knight. All this was for was so that we could get Abyssal Echoes, so we have 5 points for more damage when you kill an enemy, and 5 points in Leech. We have 15 points in Paladin. This was for sigils. We could actually take 5 points out now if we wanted, since we're no longer running sigils, but you do still need to keep Smite, so 10 points is recommended in here. And we have 8 points in Defiance for the attunement and increased elemental protection, 5 points in Honor for the block, 2 points in Majest Firebrand for 20% ignite chance with melee skills. Obviously, if you can get another 8 points as we level up, we'll put it in here. Getting 100% ignite chance with your skills is helpful, because that will be 4 more stacks for each enemy when you do Rive Strike 1 and 2 twice before Strike 3. And then we have 43 points in our Mastered Forge Guard. We went with 3 points in Battle Hardened, 8 points in Steel Aegis, 10 points in Rallying Block for additional armor and elemental protection for each block that we've had in the last 4 seconds. Since you're getting hit all the time and we have a decent block chance at 47%, this will stack up quite nicely. We also have 1 point in Infinite Bulkwear, which you will want more of these once we finish out this build. We have 3 points in Smelter's Might for more bleeding and more ignite chance. You can get a total of 70% more ignite chance here. 5 points in Regenerator, just so that we could unlock Shield Crafter, which gives you the chance to cast Ring of Shields when hit. This is amazing when you have 4 points in it, so you have that 4% chance to cast Ring of Shields when you're hit, which means you'll constantly have uptime on it. Not only will you be casting it for constant uptime, but you'll have 2 or 3 Ring of Shield cast out at a time, most of the time, unless you're doing like single target. But when there's a lot of arrows or stuff coming at you, you'll get hit a lot. Then the main ones, 10 points in Retaliation, so you get 150% increased global damage. If you've been hit in the last 4 seconds, you're going to team that up with these 10 up here at the Tide of Battle for 300% increased damage per point for 4 seconds when you use a potion within 2 seconds of being hit. We aren't even up there yet, so this build will do way more damage when we get the 10 points into Tide of Battle for the 300% increase. And those are the passives. For items, for our idols, we're still running the chance to cast Smite when you hit with a throwing attack. We have 2 of those. We have 2 that are also increased Smite damage, and just 2 1x1s for some elemental protection, basically on both. We would like things that increase physical damage or fire damage. We might change them out and switch them a bit. Now that Smite we kind of cast on our own so that we use it as a teleportation skill all the time, we'll probably switch all of these out and try and get fire damage or physical damage or ignite chance, but haven't found anything with those on it yet. There are some 1x1s with fire damage, so we might end up stacking 16 of those in here. For items, the only unique that you need, and you don't need it, it's just the one that I like, because everyone knows that Undisputed is my favorite weapon, undisputably. We have Undisputed, the one-handed axe, and what this does is it gives you a 28% chance to bleed on hit. It gives you a massive 94%, gives you a massive 94 melee physical damage, which is just huge for a single-hander. It gives you increased melee attack speed, and then the best thing about this, actually there's 2 best things, 13.2% of overkill damage is leached as health. That's huge, because when your 3rd strike hits, it does some massive crits, and those massive crits are overkill on a lot of things, which gives you a lot of leech life. And then we also have the 10% increased physical damage for each recent melee hit against a bleeding enemy, and since you're applying bleed to almost every enemy and you're constantly hitting them, you're almost always, as long as there's a few mobs on the screen, going to have 200% increased physical damage from this weapon alone. And then for all the other items, we just went defensive, so we got Vitality, increased armor and protections, and set health, set elemental protection on basically everything that you can get it on. I will just hover over them all real quick in case you are wondering what exactly I have on them. But there is really no increased damage. We do not have increased fire damage at all on anything, no physical damage. There's really no damage at all. The gloves have some melee attack speed. We are obviously using a Jade Amulet for more melee attack speed, but even this it's just all defense. None of this is offense, so this is a complete defensive build, and we still kill decently fast. And here's some gameplay of the build. Basically what we're going to do is you can smite to teleport around if you want. We're going to numlock Ring of Shields so that Ring of Shields is always going. And we Abyssal Echoes once the enemies start coming in, so we can kind of walk around a little bit but get them all in one spot. And then you just Rive away. As soon as you have them in one spot, you just use your reversal, you get your attack speed, you can throw it on a smite if you want and get even more attack speed. I try to throw down time reversal the moment that I've done Abyssal Echoes, just so that we get the mana back. And as you can see, it just pulls everything in all nice for you, and then you can just go to town on it. The more enemies you have in one spot, the more damage you're going to do to boss types.